I watched my cousin cry on camera as she filmed my grandmother with dementia. Please help us with medical expenses, she sobbed to her followers while secretly pocketing thousands in donations. She never expected I'd find the deleted raw footage where she coached Grandma to look more confused for views, or the private bank statements showing where the money really went. It started 3 months ago when I visited my grandmother at Sunset Haven, the assisted living facility where she'd been for the past year. It was a crisp Sunday morning, and I had brought her favorite lemon scones from the bakery downtown. The hallway smelled of antiseptic and artificial lavender, a combination I'd grown used to during my weekly visits. Grandma was sitting by the window when I walked in, sunlight streaming across her silver hair. At 84, she still had that spark in her eyes, though it dimmed more frequently as her dementia progressed. Some days were better than others. Today seemed good. She recognized me immediately. "There's my favorite grandson," she said, her hands reaching for mine. I kissed her cheek and set the pastry box on the small table. "Brought your favorite, Grandma?" She smiled, but something felt off. Her eyes kept darting to the door, and she seemed anxious. Before I could ask what was wrong, the door swung open, and my cousin Amber walked in. "Oh, you're here already?" she said, her voice too bright, too performative. She was clutching her phone in one hand and a small tripod in the other. "I didn't realize you were visiting today, Mark." That was odd. My Sunday visits had been consistent for months. Everyone in the family knew my schedule. "Just bringing Grandma her scones?" I said, watching as Amber quickly tucked the tripod behind her purse. "What brings you here?" "Just visiting," she replied with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Thought I'd spend some quality time with Grandma. It's been a while." That was true. Amber rarely visited before. She lived 3 hours away and had always been more focused on building her social media presence than maintaining family relationships. Over the past few years, she'd amassed about 50,000 followers across platforms with her lifestyle content. Not quite influencer status, but enough to get occasional sponsored posts. "Well, I'll let you two catch up," I said, though something felt wrong. I kissed Grandma goodbye, promising to return next Sunday. As I walked down the hallway, I realized I'd forgotten to give Grandma her new photos I'd printed. Turning back, I paused outside her door when I heard Amber's voice, now completely different in tone. "Okay, Grandma, remember what we practiced? Just look confused when I ask you about Dad, okay? It gets more views when you seem really lost." I froze. Through the crack in the door, I could see Amber setting up her phone on the tripod, positioning it to capture both her and my grandmother. "I don't understand," my grandmother said, her voice small. "Who's your dad again?" "Perfect! Just like that when I start recording, and maybe look a little sadder." I felt sick. I pushed the door open. "What are you doing?" Amber jumped, nearly knocking over her tripod. "Oh, just taking some videos with Grandma. For memories?" "For memories? Or for content?" The words came out sharper than I intended. She had the decency to look embarrassed, but only briefly. "Well, people love family content. My followers have been really supportive." "Supportive how?" I asked, already suspecting the answer. "They're just interested in our family story," she said vaguely. "It's sweet, really." I walked over to her phone and saw it was open to a TikTok draft. The caption read, "Day 3 with my grandmother who doesn't remember me anymore. Hatch dementia, hash family, hashtag support." "You're using Grandma's condition for views?" I couldn't keep the disgust from my voice. "It's not like that," Amber said defensively. "I'm raising awareness about dementia. People need to see what it's really like." My grandmother looked between us, confused by the tension. "Is something wrong? Did I do something wrong?" "No, Grandma," I assured her, taking her hand. "Everything's fine. Amber was just leaving." "Actually," Amber said, gathering her things, "I was planning to stay all afternoon. We have more to film." "Film?" Grandma asked. "Just some family videos," I said soothingly, then turned to Amber. "Can I talk to you outside?" In the hallway, I confronted her directly. "This stops now? You can't exploit Grandma's condition for your social media?" Amber rolled her eyes. "Don't be so dramatic. I'm not exploiting anyone. My followers are genuinely concerned about her. Some have even offered to help with expenses." That caught me off guard. "What expenses? The family fund covers everything not handled by insurance." She shifted uncomfortably. "Well, there are always extra costs, aren't there? And people want to help. What's wrong with that?" Before I could respond, a notification lit up her phone screen. I caught a glimpse of a PayPal alert. "You received $75 from that Compassion U with note, for your grandmother's care, You're an angel? You're collecting money? I asked incredulously. It's all for Grandma, she insisted, but wouldn't meet my eyes. Look, this benefits everyone. The videos get good engagement, people feel good about helping, and the money goes to family expenses. Which expenses exactly? I have to go, she said abruptly. We can talk about this later. I have content scheduled for today. As she walked back into the room, I heard her voice shift again into that saccharine, performative tone. Okay, Grandma, let's try again. Remember to look confused. I left the facility feeling deeply disturbed. At home, I searched for Amber's social media accounts. What I found made my blood boil. Over the past month, she had pivoted her content entirely to focus on my grandmother. Dozens of videos showed Grandma in various stages of confusion, with Amber narrating dramatically about the heartbreaking journey they were on together. Some videos showed Grandma on her bad days, when she struggled to recognize family members. Others featured Amber crying about the financial burden of specialized care. And there it was, a link to a donation page titled, Help Support My Grandmother's Dementia Care. According to the page, she had raised over $17,000 in just 3 weeks. $17,000 for expenses that didn't exist. I called my father, who handled Grandma's finances along with his siblings. Dad, is Amber contributing money to Grandma's care? Amber? He sounded confused. No, why would she? The four of us split the costs, not covered by Grandma's insurance and savings. It's all managed through the family account. Has she mentioned anything about raising money online? Not to me, he said. What's going on, Mark? I explained what I discovered. My father was silent for a long moment. I'll call her parents, he finally said. This needs to stop immediately. But it didn't stop. The next day, Amber posted a tearful video claiming that certain family members were trying to control her relationship with her grandmother. Her followers rallied around her, sending messages of support and, undoubtedly, more donations. 2 days later, I received a call from Sandra, one of the nurses at Sunset Haven, who had become friendly with me during my regular visits. Mark, I thought you should know, she said, her voice low. Your cousin has been here almost every day this week. She's constantly filming your grandmother, even when the staff asks her to stop. Yesterday, your grandmother became very agitated after one of these sessions. What happened? Your cousin wanted her to repeat certain phrases, but your grandmother couldn't remember them. She became frustrated and upset. We had to administer a mild sedative. I thanked Sandra for letting me know and immediately called the facility director. I explained the situation and asked about their policies regarding filming residents. We have strict guidelines, the director assured me. Residents have rights to privacy and dignity. If someone is filming in a way that causes distress, we can and will intervene. Who is authorized to make medical decisions for your grandmother? My father has medical power of attorney, I said. Then he can specify who is allowed to visit and under what conditions. I thanked her and called my father again. After explaining the situation with the nursing staff, he agreed to contact the facility and restrict Amber's visitation rights pending a family discussion. But Amber was one step ahead. That evening, she posted another video, this one filmed in the parking lot of Sunset Haven. Her eyes were red from crying. They're keeping me from seeing my own grandmother, she sobbed to the camera. After everything I've done to help with her care, certain family members are jealous of our special bond and the support we've received from this amazing community. The comments flooded in. Stay strong. Fight for your grandma. This is elder abuse. She had turned the narrative completely around, painting herself as the victim and champion of her grandmother's welfare. I realized then that confronting her directly wouldn't work. She would just use it as more content, more drama to monetize. I needed to be strategic. First, I contacted the facility again and requested copies of all visitor logs for my grandmother's room for the past 2 months. As a family member with my father's authorization, I was able to obtain them. The logs revealed exactly what I suspected. Prior to starting her dementia journey content, Amber had visited exactly twice in 6 months. Then, suddenly, daily visits coinciding with her new content strategy. Next, I reached out to a cousin who worked in digital marketing. Is there any way to recover deleted social media content? I asked her. Depends on the platform, she said. Why? I explained the situation, and she was appalled. I can help you. Some platforms store drafts and deleted content for a period of time. If she's editing videos before posting them, there might be a way to recover the originals. With her guidance, I filed formal requests, with several platforms citing potential elder abuse and fraud. It was a long shot, but worth trying. While waiting for responses, I focused on the money trail. The donation page Amber had set up claimed that all funds went directly to medical care and facility expenses. This was demonstrably false. I contacted the payment platform hosting the donation page, reporting potential fraud. They requested documentation proving my claims. Working with my father, we gathered statements from the family account showing all of Grandma's care expenses, proof of payments, and confirmation from Sunset Haven that all bills were current with no additional charges pending. 2 weeks into my investigation, my digital marketing cousin called with news. "I've got something," she said. One of the platforms responded to our request. Because we cited potential elder abuse, they took it seriously. They provided download links for all original content Amber uploaded related to your grandmother, including deleted drafts and videos. That night, I went through hours of footage. What I saw was worse than I'd imagined. In the raw videos, Amber could be seen coaching my grandmother, telling her what to say, getting frustrated when Grandma couldn't follow instructions, and even once hissing, "Just pretend you don't know who I am," when Grandma greeted her by name. In one particularly disturbing clip, my grandmother became distressed, saying she wanted to stop filming. Amber ignored her, continuing to record while my grandmother became increasingly agitated. This footage had been edited out of the final posted version, which instead showed Amber comforting a confused grandma, positioning herself as the patient, loving granddaughter. The next day, the payment platform responded to my fraud report. They had frozen Amber's donation account pending investigation and requested she provide documentation of how the funds were being used for the stated purpose. Amber's response was immediate and public. She posted a furious video accusing jealous family members, members of sabotaging her efforts to help her grandmother. She claimed the account freeze was a technical error and urged followers to send support directly to her personal account instead. It was time to end this. I contacted all family members and arranged a meeting at Sunset Haven for Sunday afternoon. I told Amber it was to discuss Grandma's care plan and visitation rights. She agreed immediately, likely seeing it as an opportunity to position herself as the devoted granddaughter in front of the family. What she didn't know was that I had prepared a complete dossier. Visitor logs showing her sudden interest in Grandma coinciding with her content shift. The raw, unedited footage showing her coaching and ignoring Grandma's distress, financial statements proving all care expenses were already covered, and documentation from the payment platform about the frozen account pending fraud investigation. Sunday arrived. Family gathered in the small conference room at Sunset Haven. My father and his 3 siblings, their spouses, Amber's parents, and a few other cousins who were close to Grandma. Amber arrived last, phone in hand as always. "Before we start," she announced, "I want to record this for transparency. My followers have been so worried about Grandma's situation." "Actually," I said calmly, "facility policy prohibits recording in meeting rooms without all participants' consent, and I don't consent." She frowned, but put her phone away. My father began the meeting by expressing concern about Grandma's well-being and recent events. He then turned the floor over to me. I opened my laptop and connected it to the room's small display screen. "I've been looking into some concerns about Grandma's care and representation on social media," I began. Amber immediately interjected. "If this is about my advocacy work, I think it's wonderful that thousands of people now care about Grandma and dementia awareness." "Is that what you call it? Advocacy?" I asked, keeping my voice level. "Let's look at some of your unedited footage." I played the first clip, where Amber could clearly be heard instructing Grandma to look more confused and pretend you don't recognize me. The room fell silent. Amber's mother covered her mouth in shock. "That's taken out of context," Amber protested, her face flushing. "I was just trying to help her express what she was actually feeling." "What about this one?" I played the clip where Grandma asked to stop filming, and Amber ignored her distress. "Or this?" Another clip showed Amber coaching Grandma to say she didn't have enough money for proper care. "Where did you get those?" Amber demanded, her voice rising. "Those were private drafts." "They were reported to the platforms as potential elder abuse evidence," I explained, which brings me to the financial aspect of your advocacy. I displayed the donation page showing the $17,000 raised, then showed the family account statements proving all of Grandma's expenses were covered. $17,000, I said quietly, for expenses that don't exist. "That money is for future care," Amber insisted. "Dementia gets expensive." "Then why was the most recent withdrawal from the donation account used for a first-class flight to Miami and a 5-night hotel stay?" I displayed the bank statement I'd obtained through the fraud investigation. Amber's father stood up, his face ashen. Is this true, Amber? It's not what it looks like, she stammered. I needed to attend that influencer conference to network and raise more awareness for Grandma's cause. Your cause is fraud, my father said flatly. You've been exploiting your grandmother's condition for personal gain. The facility has already been notified, I continued. They've updated Grandma's visitation restrictions. No filming is allowed in her room, and all visits must be supervised by staff or approved family members. You can't do that, Amber cried. Actually, we can, my father said. I have medical power of attorney. Furthermore, I added, the payment platform has frozen your donation account pending their fraud investigation. They've requested documentation showing how the funds were used for Grandma's care as advertised. Amber's composure finally broke. You don't understand. Do you know how hard it is to build a following? How much work it takes? This content was getting real engagement, real numbers. Everyone was benefiting. Everyone except Grandma, I said quietly. The person you claim to be helping? She doesn't even know what's happening most of the time, Amber snapped, then immediately regretted her words as gasps filled the room. And that makes it okay to exploit her? Her mother asked, tears in her eyes. Amber looked around the room, realizing she had no allies here. Her shoulders slumped. What happens now? The platforms are reviewing your content for terms of service violations, I explained. The payment processor will likely require you to refund all donations since they were obtained under false pretenses. And the family has decided you won't have unsupervised access to Grandma until you've demonstrated that you can be trusted. This will ruin me, she whispered. No, my father said firmly. This will stop you from ruining yourself further, and from hurting your grandmother. The meeting ended shortly after. Amber left without speaking to anyone, her parents following with disappointed expressions. I stayed behind to visit with Grandma. She was having a good day and recognized me immediately. There's my favorite grandson, she said, just as she had that day 3 months ago when this all started. I sat with her, sharing the lemon scones I'd brought. We looked through old photo albums together, and I recorded her stories about the pictures, not for social media, but for our family archives, with her full awareness and joy in sharing her memories. In the weeks that followed, Amber's social media empire collapsed. The platforms removed her dementia content for violations, the payment processor required full refunds of all donations, and her followers abandoned her when the truth came out. She sent me a text a month later. I'm sorry, I got caught up in the numbers and forgot what really mattered. I didn't respond immediately. Trust would take time to rebuild, if it ever could be. Instead, I focused on what mattered. Every Sunday, I brought lemon scones to Sunset Haven. Sometimes Grandma remembered me, sometimes she didn't, but she always smiled at the scones. One afternoon, as sunlight streamed through her window just like that first day, she took my hand and said with surprising clarity, "Thank you for protecting me, Mark. Some things shouldn't be for everyone to see." I don't know if she fully understood what had happened, or if it was just a moment of intuition breaking through the fog of her condition. But she was right. In a world where everything seems to be for public consumption, some moments should remain private. Some experiences are too sacred for likes and shares. Some people deserve protection rather than exposure. Amber eventually apologized to the entire family and began the long process of making amends. She deleted all her social media accounts and started volunteering at a local dementia care center without her phone. As for me, I still bring scones every Sunday. I still hold Grandma's hand and listen to whatever story she wants to tell, whether new or repeated for the 100th time. I still treasure the good days and comfort her through the bad ones. But I do it privately, honoring her dignity rather than exploiting her vulnerability. Because some things matter more than clicks. Some people deserve better than to become content. And some love is too important to be performed for an audience.